Hi everyone, it's Elizabeth here at Phoenix Counseling Services, and today I'm going to talk to you about gender affirmative language. So we'll start with some pretty alarming statistics. According to the CDC, 40% of transgender individuals attempt suicide. That rate will increase to 60% if they are rejected by a healthcare professional. These are the highest rates of suicide that we see in any given population. Next, why this matters is 37% experience one physical attack in their lifetime and 83% experience verbal abuse in their lifetime. Again, these are pretty high statistics for one given population. Lastly, transgender individuals are 3 times more likely to experience symptoms of depression or anxiety. So now that we have some statistics and facts around why this matters, let's talk about some important definitions. First is birth sex. Birth sex is the sex assigned to a child at birth based on a child's genitalia, and that is usually checked into a male or a female box. Next is gender identity. Gender identity is a person's internal sense of being man, woman, both, neither, and usually develops at a very young age. Next is gender expression. This is a way a person acts, dresses, speaks, or behaves in order to show their gender as feminine, masculine, both, or neither. So as you can see, our birth sex, we have 2 boxes, male or female. What we actually know is gender is on a spectrum. So when we talk about gender identity and gender expression, you notice that I say man, woman, both, or neither. And that's indicating that we don't always fit in boxes that we like to fit people in. That gender is on a spectrum, not in a box. So next, let's talk about what can hurt when we're talking to somebody about their language related to their gender. First of all, using the term preferred pronoun or gender preference. These terms are hurtful because we don't prefer to be a gender. We are who we are. So that's me asking someone, so do you prefer to be female? The answer is going to be no, I am female. So instead, what we're going to use is, what are your chosen pronouns? What is your chosen gender? By saying chosen, we're acknowledging that at a young age, we develop that identity. Next, what can hurt is using the incorrect pronouns. So if somebody introduces themselves and says, I use the pronouns she, her, hers, and then somebody comes along and decides that they're going to refer to that person as he, him, his. This actually, by using that incorrect pronoun, that can increase the risk of a suicide attempt. Next is asking about the person's real name or dead name. So a lot of times what we see in social transition is somebody who was assigned male at birth, for example, and now identifies as female. Part of their transition may be getting a legal name change. When somebody gets a legal name change, they are trying to become into their true selves. So asking what their dead name or real name is invalidating the fact that you are not seeing them as who they truly are. Next is using the term passing. So the term passing refers to if the person their gender expression is matching how they are trying to identify. So if somebody identifies as trans female, which means they were assigned male at birth and their gender expression is feminine, we're not going to say to them, oh wow, you look really feminine today. That's not their goal. Their goal is to permanently be seen as female. Some other outdated terms that have been used in the past that we no longer use are transsexual, transvestite, or tranny. These are all offensive terms that, if used, could potentially increase those statistics that we referenced earlier. So let's end with talking about how to be affirmative and how we can all do our part in helping to prevent the suicide rates. First is when you introduce yourself, it can be helpful to say, my name is, for example, my name is Elizabeth and I use the pronouns she, her, hers. What about you? By using this introduction, we're normalizing the idea that we can't assume what a person's gender is. Sometimes we need to ask. And the other tricky part of this is in our society, because of birth sex and because of how we're assigned birth, we want to put people in these boxes. When pronouns are not just he, him, his, or she, her, hers. We also have pronouns such as they, them, theirs, which is going to be non-binary terms. And there are other pronouns as well that people use. So it's super, super important to simply ask the person, hey, what pronouns do you use? Never, never assume. We always want to ask. So for example, here at Phoenix, we are a gender affirmative counseling center. So what that means is during your intake appointment, you will be asked, what pronouns do you use? It's on our paperwork. And the reason we ask that is because we don't want to assume. Another thing to keep in mind is we're human. We make mistakes. If somebody tells you their chosen pronouns and you accidentally, your mind slips and puts them in a box and you use the wrong pronouns, the best thing you can do in that moment is simply apologize, correct yourself, and keep moving on in the conversation. It can make it more awkward if we sit and we talk about how we made that mistake and how it makes that person feel. The person just simply wants an apology, the correct use of the pronoun, and then to just move on. So I hope this is just a very quick guide to what it can look like to be gender affirming. And I would like you to all think about those statistics and ways we can continue to make these suicide rates decrease. Because at the end of the day, all lives matter, and we need to figure out a way that we can all work together and use this gender affirmative language. Thanks so much for listening, and stay tuned for more video blogs around gender and identity.